Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's November 12, 2021. Tapos na po ang mga 11-11 sales, I think. And welcome to the program agenda. It's a Friday and the time is 8 o'clock in the morning. Thank you for joining us this morning. And please stay with us because for those of you who are asking so many questions or don't know what to do about vaccinations, today will be a very good day to get all of your answers, especially for those of us who are wondering or are asking questions about the waning efficacy of vaccines, because there was a study and it broke here on agenda by with Dr. Rontgene Solante, who said that studies indicate that the vaccines that have been inoculated to Philippine or injected to Filipinos has a 5 to 6 month period, and by the fifth or 6 months, humihina, the efficacy goes down, and that's why all of this discussion of a third shot, a booster shot, has come up, and there are a lot of questions now. When exactly must you get your third shot? What is the difference between a third shot and a booster shot? And also, can we have a fruit salad combination? Meaning, if you have Sinovac, can you use another brand, etc.? Because there is this public impression that's been going around that if you have Sinovac, you must have Pfizer or Moderna. So people, what about if you have AstraZeneca? Does it mean that you should go for Sinovac for the third shot? We will address all of that today as we bring in two specialists, two experts on vaccination, and we will ask them all of those questions. But before that, I would just like to thank all of you who are joining us this morning, especially subscribers of Cignal TV, and also those who watch us on Facebook.com/OneNewsPH and YouTube OneNewsPH, and who have the Cignal Play app. If you don't have the Cignal Play app, you might want to download the app so you can watch us while you are mobile or somewhere else aside from your the reach of your Wi-Fi. And last but not the least, we wish to thank PLDT for their home fiber optic internet. I am here in Lipa City, here in in my garden, small garden. I built a really small 8x8 booth here, and we have had fantastic signal internet service. And mind you, I even have a couple of scholars who come here to use the internet. So thank you very much, PLDT. And for today, let's start with the daily starter for those of you who are discouraged and facing challenges like I do. There will always be rocks in the road ahead of us. Maaring mabato ang ating dadaanan o ating lalakaran. They will be stumbling blocks, ikadadapa natin, or stepping stones, magiging tapakan natin. It all depends on how you use them. Let me repeat that from Nietzsche. There will always be rocks in the road ahead of us. They will be stumbling blocks or stepping stones. It all depends on how you use them. And that is a very good reminder to many of you out there who, I mean, like me, I face discouragement from time to time and challenges from time to time, even in the work that or the profession I'm in, where we are trying to give public information, we are trying to expose the wrong in society. But of course, as you try to do what is right or make things right, those who love doing things wrong will hate you, will obstruct you, and will make life difficult for you. So, and meron naman po sa inyo who are just trying to make a living, trying to earn a living, and yet there are people who put up stumbling blocks or obstacles. And kung tatampo kayo, if you will mope and weep and be defeated, you basically allowed yourself to lose. So, as Nietzsche says, you can use those rocks on the road as your stepping stone. Di ba? Sabi nga nung iba, ipunin mo ang mga batong pinukol sa'yo at gumawa ka ng monumento. Okay, so that's our daily starter for today, November 12th, Friday, November 12, 2021. Welcome, and now let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star. And as everybody in the Philippines already know, if you still don't know, we will let you know. Sara quits hugpong. Okay? Hugpong ng pagbabago pa local party or regional party, her party, and joined the Lakas Christian Muslim Democrats party founded by former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Okay, and the sequence of events, according to news reports, is that Sara Duterte went to her supporters in the Hugpong, resigned from the party, then went to Manila or something like that, or did it by phone or whatever, went to the Revilla compound and walked down the aisle with Bongbong Marcos. Hindi po sila kinasal. Sila po ay ninong at ninang sa kasal. They were godmother to the daughter of Senator Bong Revilla. And after the wedding ceremonies, they went indoors where Sara Duterte took the oath of allegiance to the Lakas Christian Muslim Democrats. From pagbabago to lakas. Okay, yan na po. Meanwhile, uh, Senator or former Senator Bongbong Marcos says he is not going to play the sliding down game, or I'm not playing the substitution game. Everyone is saying that. I am not running, pero I am enlisting. I am not sliding, but I will say something. Anyway, let's go to the header of the Philippine Star. Rodi Okay's nationwide rollout of COVID alert system. For almost a year and a half or more, actually more, the Philippines has been implementing the quarantine classification system for dealing with COVID-19. But based on a new EO Executive Order 151, President Rodrigo Duterte has officially authorized the adoption of the alert level system nationwide. Now, sandali lang po, just a minute. The EO makes it official, but the implementation will be done in phases. So, basahin nyo na lang po sa Philippine Star or check with the official announcements of Malacanang regarding this, because it will not happen overnight. So some of you in the farther flung provinces, baka mahuli po kayong mabibigyan ng adoption of the alert level system. Okay. Next up, let's go now to the okay, ano bang unahin natin? Ayan, puro picture. Okay, picture. On the left, you have Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte walking down the aisles as ninong and ninang to the daughter of Senator Bong Revilla, who got married yesterday. Congratulations to the bride. whose name was never mentioned in any of the news articles. Meanwhile, on the right, you have Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte sworn in as a member of the Lakas CMD party by the party president and House Majority Leader Martin Romualdez. And witness to the oath taking is Senator Ramon Revilla Jr. or Bong Revilla, Lakas CMD chairman. Okay, yan po ang mga picture-picture sa kasalan at sa kanilang party kahapon. On the top, we have the announcement that the chief prosecutor or chief fiscal of Manila has been named as a commissioner of the COMELEC. The gentleman known as Attorney Ray E. Bulay was appointed yesterday, and he is a former PCGG official or ano ba yung Presidential Commission on Good Government. Okay, he's a former councilor of Muntinlupa City, graduate of San Beda, and of course, fraternity brother of the president in the fraternity Lex Talionis. Okay, so now back to the front page of the Philippine Star. And the story goes, okay, according to Congressman Joey Salceda, the Pac-Man, or none other than Senator Manny Pacquiao, will be making an announcement in the next 3 days, which will be the last surprise of for the 2022 polls. Okay, kung nagtataka, anong sinasabi niyang mamang yan na last surprise? Well, I mean, we've all had so many surprises this week. You could already have indigestion. Inday Sara saying she's not going to run. But quits running for mayor and now being sworn with Lakas CMD, etc. And then you have, anyway, at the end of the day, Congressman Joey Salceda claims to know something that the rest of us don't know, which is Pacman, Manny Pacquiao will be making an announcement. Sabi naman ni Pacman, hindi ko atras yung aking pagtakbong presidente. Yun lang ang sabi ni Pacman. So, baka naman hindi nga niya atras pero babalik siyang senador. We don't know. Maybe I have commented in my column today in the Philippine Star, nako, kung balak niyong labanan yung mga malalakas, magsama-sama na kayo. Okay? Parang Superman. Anyway, let's go back to the front page. We have that photo, okay, a Light Rail Manila Corporation officer uses her phone installed with the new QR ticketing system to support the company's digitalization for contactless commuting during a presentation at the LRT Central Station in Manila yesterday. Bravo! Kasi po, that is an excellent work on the part of the LRT or Light Rail Manila Corporation. Hindi na kailangan bumili pa o pumila ng pumila, I presume, because it's now going to be digital. You can probably load online or get automatic loads, just like what San Miguel does and what the MVP group does, na naka-enroll ka, lagi ka na lang may load. Okay, so that's a good development. Let's now move to the COVID ba? COVID ba muna? And the flights for fully vaxxed passengers only proposed. Presidential Advisor for Entrepreneurship and self-proclaimed innovator of solutions for the economy under COVID, Joey Concepcion, is now pushing for green flights. Ano ba itong green flights? Well, the concept of green flights started in the Middle East, where they launched flights where passengers and crew are only passengers and crew who are fully vaccinated and documented to be such are allowed to go on board. So this flights for fully vaxxed passenger proposal is being pushed by Joey Concepcion for flights emanating from the United States, because now the U.S. has opened its territory or its borders to the general tourist population, and it would help a lot of US-based Filipinos to return to the Philippines, even those who are already residing there, to return and visit the Philippines, because under the fully vaxxed passenger proposal, the quarantine or the restrictions would be limited to 24 hours only na quarantine. Hindi katulad sa existing in the past, where you had to be quarantined for 2 weeks, and most people would say, forget it. You know, the ticket alone is horrendous for flights all over the world, and then I have to spend 12 days to 14 days in a hotel in the Philippines that charges you 4,000 to 5,000 with lousy food. Forget it. So, ayan po. Yan ang solusyon ni Joey Concepcion. Okay. COVID naman. COVID-19 cases, we have, as of yesterday, November 11, there were 1,974 new COVID cases. The deaths are still triple digit, 142 pa ang namatay kahapon po, which brings us closer and closer to the 45,000 mark. It is now 44,866. So please, again and again, I will tell you, COVID kills. Just pray to God that you are able to take care of yourself, get vaccinated, so you will not add to the tally. Okay. And 5 senators has gone to the Supreme Court to ask for a temporary restraining order against the order of the president not allowing cabinet members to participate in Senate investigations. If you recall, the other day, the Senate President Tito Soto already instructed the Senate staff to file, a legal group to file a case with the Supreme Court to challenge the gag order. But now 5 senators are asking for a temporary restraining order para mapabilis yung proseso, na mapipilitan na kagad si President Duterte na wag pigilan ang mga cabinet members and government officials from appearing before the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee and other committees of the Senate. Okay. And let's go to the bottom end of the Philippine Star. And this is sad, bad news. Poor control of corruption excludes Philippines from U.S. grant. Okay. There is a group in the United States that gives the U.S. aid agency, Millennium Challenge Corporation, that gives grants to governments worldwide, has given the country a failing mark. The Philippines has failed to qualify for the grant in 2022 because of the poor scorecards, where the Philippines passed only 12 out of 20 requirements. We passed in many requirements, pero pagdating po doon sa corruption, control of corruption, access to credit, startup of companies, etc. Ayun po na lagapak ang Pilipinas. Okay, so and last but not the least, that photo there in the bottom, that's the big, beautiful long bridge that Manny Pangilinan, chairman of the Metro Pacific Investment Corporation and Metro Pacific Tollways Corporation, recently how do you call it? Nag-open na ba? Parang open naman no? Di ba? Kasi pagkasulat medyo led the main bridge deck connection ceremony. Kung mga kino-connect na nila, okay. Hindi pa yata open. Kino-connect pa lang po yung main deck of the bridge, which is an 8.5 kilometer bridge that connects mainland Cebu, okay, to the municipality of Cordoba on Mactan Island. Ayan po. Okay, so there you go. That's most of the news we have for today on the front page of the Philippine Star. And now, excuse me, let's go to our main program, the interviews, where we will tackle today questions about the waning efficacy of vaccines, mixed-use vaccination, parang no? Parang condominium complex mixed-use facility. Okay, welcome. Let's bring in our first interviewee, Dr. Maria Consorcia Lim-Quizon, or Dr. Corky Quizon, member of the National Immunization Technical Advisory Group. Dr. Corky, Conky, sorry, Corky ako, wala, namamalat na. Doc Conky, good morning. Welcome again.
Good morning, Sir Cito. Magandang umaga sa iyo.
Pasensya ka na, no? Parang full of energy, pero alas 3 pa ng umaga, gising na ako dahil itong lekat na Batelec 2 na ito, nagputol na naman ng kuryente. And anyway, Doc, good morning, and any updates on COVID right now? Kasi before we go into the main topic, there has been concern, serious concern by the more cautious members of society na etong biglang mga nakalabas ng koral, so to speak, as the saying goes, may lead to a very somber, very sad Christmas because of another surge. Ano ba ang napapansin ninyo?
Oo. Pare-pareho po tayong nasisindak, if that is the right term, na parang, ano nangyari? Ba't nga nakawala sa koral? First things first, mukhang ayon sa numbers is that we see dwindling number of cases per day, no? Actually, I think that is 2 or 3 days ago, it actually went down to below 2,000, 1,500 lang yata per day. At ngayon hindi umaabot ng 2,500. So that's good, okay? But we won a battle. We haven't won the war, okay? Marami pang snipers. The virus is still out there, okay? But I understand too that there has to be a careful balance. At saka paano naman ng mental health ng mga bata at mga ibang mga kababayan natin na halos 2 taon na nagkulong sa bahay at gusto natin buhayin ang ekonomiya. So, careful balance between that. Sana po maintindihan natin, no matter what our local or national leaders say, na hindi na kailangan mag-shield or hindi na kailangan mag-face mask, ganon. Sana po, on an individual level, tayo, alam natin what's going on. And I will repeat, we may have won the battle, but we haven't won the war. So even if we are allowed to go out, we still need to take utmost care of ourselves.
Okay, now having said that, what is the situation as far as infections go? Kasi I've been picking up a lot of stories where people are getting infected, but because they're immunized, they're starting to treat it like colds. I mean, it's good news na parang sipon na lang kung may vaccine
Mm,
ka, nabakunahan ka,
mm.
parang sipon na lang. But I kinda tell people, if you get that so often, your body might not be able to keep up with, repeated infections. I don't know. I'm
Mm,
not a doctor,
mm,
but
mm,
you're the expert, Doc Conky.
mm, mm.
What's your take on that? Yung mga
Oo,
parang sipon na lang yan.
oo. At the end of the day, ano nga ba 'tong COVID infection is actually trangkaso. That's
Mm,
that's the bottom line. It's actually trangkaso. And if you have 100 cases, inaasahan mo na only about 5% would actually develop into the more severe form. So
mm,
95% of the kaso, eto nga, talagang trangkaso lang. So, but kaya nga ang inaalagaan natin ng husto is yung mga we think could have low resistance or immunity like senior citizens and comorbidities because they are the ones who are very likely to develop into the more severe form of the disease. Now,
mm.
going ito sinabi mo na, wag mo naman ipagwalang bahala just
Yeah.
because it's only trangkaso. Yes, it may only be trangkaso, but you will be carrying the virus. And you never know kung kailan mo hahawahan yung yung maaring mag-develop ng matinding form of the disease. What I'm trying to say is yung mga regular na mga kabataan natin, uuwi sa bahay, mahahawahan si lolo't lola o mahahawahan na magulang nila na meron palang comorbidity. So, yun ang nakakatakot. Sila makaka-survive. It's nothing to them. It's just ang kaso. But what if they infect others? So that's one. So your other concern about, kung repeated yan, paano?
Oh,
Di bibigay at bibigay din sila. Yung ganon. Well, mercifully, kung yung COVID lang mismo, as in any other infection, kapag ka naman nagkaroon ka ngayon, at least for so many months, it's very likely na hindi ka maulit na magkaroon. But, dahil nagkaroon ka, mababa ang resistensya mo, very vulnerable ka na magkaroon naman ng ibang klaseng sakit. Okay? Puwede kang
mhm.
mag-ulit-ulit na trangkaso, not necessarily COVID, but from another pathogen or another causative agent, yung gano'n. So tama ka, maaring sipon lang, maaring trangkaso, but hindi naman puwedeng ulit-ulit 'yan at pasasaan ba't bibigay ka rin kapagka umulit ng umulit.
Yeah, because I know of one situation, personally, I know of one situation. Yung mga kapitbahay, they're all, "Oh, ano na yan, ha?" Just kidding. Alam mo naman ngayon 'pag may umubo, praning na lahat. But,
Nasa mid ka rin kanina,
uh,
eh. Oo, sige.
okay. No, the neighborhood were all vaccinated, yun ang balita ko.
Mm,
And sabi sa akin was, well, parang may mga sinipon, may mga inubo, pero dahil nabakunahan naman sila, they didn't
mm,
really think much of it. Until
mm,
one of them came down with COVID, and we found out he was 71 years old, and we found out that he was only one shot vaccinated. So parang first
ah,
dose lang.
mm,
So
mm,
parang sabi ko malamang at malamang, and I was just talking with them, speculating. I said chances are, because all of you were fully vaccinated, one of you had it. He thought he was safe because he already had the first dose. He got it from one of you guys, went home, and then got sick. And well, thank God he was already one dose vaccinated, that he managed to survive without
there you
having
are.
to go to the hospital. Pero ibinili siya talaga ng oxygenator, binili siya
Mm,
ng tambak-tambak na gamot, etc.
mm. So there, that was exactly what I was saying kanina na kahit na bakunado ka, maaring magdala ka pa rin ng infection. Kung kaya't hindi ba from day one, we were saying that even if you were vaccinated or fully vaccinated, kailangan mo pa rin i-practice yung minimum public health standards. Dahil para sa sarili mo na huwag kang magkasakit kahit na nga ba mild form lang. At more importantly din, huwag mong iuwi yung sakit sa kasambahay mo.
Okay, let's bring in Dr. Ronjin Solante, another regular here on agenda. Doc Ronjin, good morning.
Hi, good morning, Cito.
Okay, Doc Ronjin, ikaw actually sa'yo nagsimula ito eh. Itong issue na about waning efficacy of vaccines here on agenda. Nung nabanggit mo ng mga bahagya, you mentioned it just in passing and apparently everybody picked it up so quickly, hindi na kita na-interview because everybody interviewed you. But could you just elaborate again on the studies of waning efficacy of vaccines. Kasi maraming nag-aalala ngayon na eksakto ba yan? 6 months, wala na akong protection, etc.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Cito. No? So, the waning immunity protection of vaccine started with the experience in Israel. And when you know Israel, they were the ones, they were the first country to really vaccinate as much as bigger population, no? Kasi maliit lang sila. And they started vaccinating January, February. Now comes July, and that also was the onset of the Delta variant. And with the Delta variant, you know, the transmissibility, no, mataas talaga ang hawaan yan. So they were looking at, they were tracking all because they have a very good database among those vaccinated. They have good HMO to track all those vaccinated. And in fact, by July, they were able to really look at those vaccinated, especially the 60 years old and above, na nakatanggap ng Pfizer vaccine are starting to develop again infection. And in fact, talagang nagsisevere. So they were looking at not bakit ganito when we thought that this vaccine immunity can last for how many months, no, or even a year. So they look at data, immunogenicity, and all those things. They correlated, no, using the neutralizing antibody of those individual in the database na bumaba on the third month up to the sixth month, nagkatugma talaga na pag bumaba yung neutralizing antibody, doon pumapasok na naging prone sila sa reinfection, meaning nagkaka-infection sila. And that was the basis for that, no? US followed that particular data because they were able to collate 800,000 both arms, yung hindi nabakunahan at saka yung nabigyan ng booster, and they found out that it was really a big difference when you give the third dose.
Okay, now, okay, so just free for all na lang tayo, no? Tayong tatlo lang naman na nag-uusap dito. Ang matanong ko, as far as you were talking about Pfizer, but what about for the majority of the Philippines doctors na we are predominantly vaccinated with Sinovac? What's the assessment?
Okay, so ikwento ko lang, no? So the past 2 to 3 weeks, the VEP is doing a lot of this review of all immunogenicity data, outcome data of a 2-dose and a booster dose, no? Talagang lahat kinukuha namin 'yan, tinitingnan namin 'yan, lahat ng bakuna available sa Philippines. And I would say all of these vaccines, talagang ang protection wane, no, based on a neutralizing antibody. So ibig sabihin 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, there are data na talagang bumababa, no? And precisely that's the reason why most countries now outside the Philippines are already giving a third shot among the vulnerable population, no? If we look at some Southeast Asian countries, nauna na dyan yung Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, no? And some other Asian countries, including European and US, no? Because the data will tell us, bumaba ang neutralizing antibody. We have to know that the neutralizing antibody is not, we don't have a correlate yet at what level kung bumaba, magka-infection ka. Because we haven't established yet the correlate to protection of antibody. But there are data to tell us it is predictive, meaning pag meron kang pagbaba ng neutralizing antibody trending, then your risk also of getting the infection will be there. And who are those population at higher risk of getting the infection? Those people who are vulnerable when their response to the primary vaccine series may not be as robust as the healthy and younger population. So we're talking here the elderly, those with malignancy, the 65 years old and above, Yun yung priority sa waning protection, and that's the reason why we all have this thing about booster or third dose.
Okay, Doc Ronjin, may nakikiusap dito, paki-spelling nga daw kung ano yung ibig niyong sabihin doon sa neutralizing antibody. Gets ko naman yun, but for those who are not medically oriented, what do you mean by neutralizing antibody?
Okay, so ang neutralizing antibody, ito yung specific antibody na na-produce pag binabakunahan tayo ng COVID vaccine. Why specific? Because these are the specific antibodies that protect us against the virus based on the phase 3, phase 2 data. No? So meaning these are really an important measure of our protection. So doon, pag bumababa siya, there's a possibility, there's a chance that your protection will also be lower.
Okay, so yun po mga kaibigan, yun yung made-to-order warriors na nando doon sa bakuna na pag tinurok sa inyo, marami sila to fight COVID-19. Pag tumatagal ang panahon, pakonti sila ng pakonti, humihina yung kanilang ability na lumaban doon sa COVID-19 na bigla na lang lalanding at mag-overtake. So yon, doon sa mga nagtatanong ano ba yan neutralizing antibody. Now, Doc Conky, matanong ko lang, no? Because Secretary Pingoy Duque has issued a statement that the third dose more likely or not will happen early first quarter of 2022. Now, Dr. Solante has pointed out that for those who got their doses last January, by June, medyo bumaba na yung kanilang neutralizing antibody. So what happens in between July and December if your antibodies are already on the downtrend?
As far as I know, we're waiting for the official recommendation of yung WHO SAGE, yung grupo na talagang sila ang nagbibigay ng advisory. Pero ganun pa man, yung sarili nating mga expert panel, nabanggit nga ni Dr. Solante, aral ng aral, nire-review lahat ng mga available data para makapagbigay ng talagang angkop na rekomendasyon sa atin, umpisa ka na ngayon. Yung gano'n, kumbaga, wag mo na hintayin yung January. Okay. So, pero may mahalaga sinabi si Dr. Solante kanina na really the priority are yung mga the elderly senior citizens. Yung ibig sabihin 70 above, hindi yung 60 above, yung bumaba ang ano na. So, baka ligtas ka pa dito. O sige, so hindi ka pa elderly. Okay, so having said that, yun, maaari nang umpisahan ang mga yon on the word go. Yung sinasabi ni Secretary Duque na first quarter pa mag-uumpisa, kasi kung magro-roll out ka na naman sa kalahatan, you know, hindi pa kasya dun sa kung ano yung hawak natin mga bakuna ngayon. Remember
Yeah.
please, ang issue is still equity. Nagsasabi tayo na, o sige, roll out na ikatlo na booster or ikatlong dose sa iba. Samantalang, meron pa, marami-rami pa rin ang hindi nakakatanggap ng kahit na first dose.
Okay, now, Dr. Solante, going back to that question that I asked, no? You said January to June, the efficacy is good, full coverage. After June, coverage of the vaccine wanes or goes down or weakens. So, if I had that, what is the risk of me going back to zero between July and December or January? Kasi yun ang parang yun ang timeline na doon na walang additional, wala pang third shot.
Yeah. So we just have to explain this, no, like this, na hindi naman zero 'yan, no? Dahil meron ka pa ring proportion of that protection na nandiyan natira. Hindi yan zero, no? And
Okay.
and ang importante lang dito na you still continue to protect yourself, no? Kagaya ng health protocol, we have to follow the health protocol. And obviously, alam naman natin na ano yung paano tayo makakuha ng ganitong infection. And, and I totally agree, no? The priority is still those that has not been vaccinated yet. These are the people that we want to be protected. Remember, if you are not vaccinated, the mutation will still be there. There will still be community transmission. This is the data. No, if you're vaccinated, your risk of getting the infection will still be there, but your risk of getting a mutation or starting a mutation will not be as much as that in those compared to the unvaccinated, unless you really are an immunocompromised individual. Immunocompromised, Sir Cito, yung mga may cancer, those taking immunosuppressive drugs. These are the people, based on the data, that did not even mount an immune response even with the two dose. Okay, so these are the highly vulnerable population.
So yung parang si ano kay Congressman na ano ba yun, yung sa San Juan na merong immunocompromised umabot to 4 shots para mabigyan siya ng substantial protection dahil may problema talaga yung kanyang kalusugan.
Yes, may mga ganon, no? Talagang the severely elderly, no? We're talking about the 80 years old, the 90 years old na talagang as in meron tinatawag tayong immunosenescent. Binabakunahan sila, but their immune response cannot anymore recognize and produce specific antibody because their immune system is already matanda na rin.
Okay. Let's go for a quick break, doctors. And when we return, pag-usapan natin, let's discuss this mix and match. Kasi at saka yung bang totoo ba yung nababalitaan ko na meron na raw mga facilities where you could actually sign up, pay for the third shot or for a booster shot, etc. And what does the panel of vaccine experts and the NITAG have to say about this? We'll go for a quick break. We'll be right back here on Agenda. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, and this morning we are talking to two experts regarding the waning or weakening efficacy of COVID-19 vaccines and what you should know about it and what you can do about it. We are joined by Dr. Maria Consorcia Lim-Quizon, member of the NITAG, National Immunization Technical Advisory Group. She is also the Executive Director of the South Asia Field Epidemiology and Technology Network, Inc., and Dr. Rontgene Solante, Infectious Disease Department Director of San Lazaro Hospital, member of the Vaccine Expert Panel. Okay, so doctors, pag-usapan natin yung combination because it's been going around social media and even in family gatherings and parties na, ano bang i-booster shot mo o ito third dose nyo. Doc Conky, meron na bang recommendation yung NITAG regarding if you are Sinovac, you should have Moderna, etc.?
Oo. As far as yung latest recommendation namin, which was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, ang sabi ang talagang rekomendasyon is as much as possible, homologous pa rin. Kumbaga yung kung ano yung binigay sa'yo na first and second, hangga't maaari wag munang mix and match. Kung wala rin lang mahigpit na dahilan kung bakit ka magmi-mix and match. Ano ba mga mahigpit na dahilan or pressing need? Halimbawa, kailangan mo mag-third dose or second dose for that matter. Hindi naman dumating yung hindi available yung bakunang yon. Halimbawa,
Mm.
bakuna A, tapos 28 days na, nakaschedule ka na, hindi dumating yung bakuna A, then
Mm.
pwede mong gamitin yung bakuna B. Kung ano yung
Mhm.
mga sinasabi sa atin na pwede nating i-mix and match. Ang medyo question mark sa atin, nabanggit mo, Sito, kanina na ang biggest proportion of the vaccines that we use is Sinovac, right?
Mm.
And most of the studies abroad uh, didn't haven't studied really Sinovac in conjunction with yung ibang pwedeng i-mix and match dahil hindi sila gumagamit ng gano'n sa mga bansa nila. Kaya kung minsan
Mm.
ang tanong paano ba ito? Bakit walang katerno ang Sinovac? Yung gano'n. Kasi nga, hindi pa napag-aralan dahil yung mga bansang nag-aaral o nagre-research tungkol dito ay hindi naman gumamit ng Sinovac in the first place. So anyway,
Kumbaga ano, parang exclusive club sila, eh. We only deal with Western vaccine. Dr. Solante, what's your comment to that? Because meron talaga nagsasabing, oh, the government said that if you have Sinovac, you should have Moderna. May basis ba yun? Was there ever anything said to that effect?
Yes, no, we reviewed some data. We got data from Indonesia and Thailand because, including Malaysia, no, because these are the countries with Sinovac, and they're already giving a third dose uh, of their population, vulnerable population, healthcare workers using the mRNA vaccines, no, and was able to attend one Asian forum attended by all of these Southeast Asian countries where they presented their data on immunogenicity for Sinovac, and then the third dose is an mRNA or an Astra or a virus vector,
Mhm.
and comparing it with the third dose of Sinovac. Okay, and based on those studies, I would like to quote the study done in Mahidol, no, Thailand. They look at the immunogenicity, the neutralizing antibody, and they found out that if you compare the boosting with homologous Sinovac and compare it with an mRNA, you have a superior immunogenicity data with mRNA over that of the homologous Sinovac. No? That's measuring only the neutralizing antibody. And that's partly the reason why there's an ongoing study there in those countries looking at monitoring this individual, the healthcare workers, the vulnerable population who are given a third dose of this, what they call these mRNA vaccines.
Mhm. Kasi parang, pasensya na po kayo mga kaibigan, medyo dinadala ko yung aking expertise sa manukan. Ah, because, when we vaccinate animals, there are two types. There is the live virus and there is the processed or dead virus. And there's always a combination. That's why I was kind of wondering if it is also applied to animals. So as far as the Thailand presentation is concerned, Dr. Solante, the mRNA and the homologous vaccine, when combined, is higher efficacy and is deemed more effective. Now, as far as cases, because you're down on the ground in San Lazaro, as far as cases go, how many percent of the incoming patients are actually fully vaccinated? May marami-rami na ba ang bilang? Is there already a observable count of fully vaccinated people coming in with COVID?
Yeah. Yes, we have, no, because every week we do collation of the data, and part of that is particularly the severe critical.
Mhm.
cases, how many of them are vaccinated and fully vaccinated. And in fact, if I'm going to tell you this, this is unpublished, but this is our data. It's like 35 to 40%. There was a time that fully vaccinated, severe critical, these are elderly, these are patients with comorbidities, are in the critical, in the severe critical ICU. And when we look at the profile of the vaccinated, fully vaccinated, having developed severe and critical, 65% of them are Sinovac. And these are people or individual given the vaccine, given or received the vaccine April, March, April, May, and June. In fact, I was so surprised. There was this June, July, and yet they still developed the severe COVID. No, and we look at risk factors here also. There are majority are those having age of 60, 75 years, 70 years old,
Mhm.
hypertensive, diabetic, but we also have younger population, like less than 30 years old. In fact, we were so surprised. We have three, four, 40 years old below, fully vaccinated and yet develop severe. So when you have that scenario, when you have higher number of cases, even if you are fully vaccinated, but you have comorbidities with you, I think that's really a challenge.
Okay, I mean that's already SOP, as they said, standard operating procedure. That if you have comorbidity, even if you're fully vaccinated, that you can still get it. But how many of them fall under that classification of waning vaccine or potentially weakened vaccine?
We surmise that they got the infection because of the waning protection, not just because of the presence of comorbidities.
Mhm. Okay, now, Doc Conky, how would all of this play into the recommendations? Because you mentioned that the NITAG made the recommendations on homologous vaccines 3 weeks ago. The DOH is saying we will do the third dose in December for healthcare workers and first quarter for senior citizens. But is there a possibility that we could become, the situation might become self-canceling if we don't act fast enough with the third dose?
Well, damn if you will and damn if you don't. If we act fast enough and then something comes up, it becomes the Dengvaxia season 2, kasalanan na naman ng DOH. You know,
Mhm.
remember that we do, parang okay, lagi tayong nasa emergency situation. O sige, react tayo, react na react kasi ayan eh,
Mhm.
pinag-uusapan yung ganon. And most of the time, nawawala yung science of it all.
Yeah,
Okay?
but wait a
And
minute, Doc Honky. Sorry to
go
interrupt,
ahead,
no, because
go ahead.
I'm very involved. I was very involved with that Deng Baksha thing. Meaning, I really monitored it. I even worked with some of the doctors. And in retrospect, when you think about it, we hardly hear about cases of related to that. In fact, my daughter was one of the first batches who were inoculated with Dengbaksha, her entire school. We never saw anything. Wasn't that more hype than medical reality?
Exactly, but there were exactly, and this is what is gonna happen also to us kung minsan hype yan. O sige, maybe, maybe that could be the wrong analogy, okay? What we're just trying to say is that even as nakikita na may be a need o merong mga anecdotal. And I'm sorry,
Mhm.
I have to say the word anecdotal. Kasi
Yeah,
kung
yeah.
minsan pag sinabing dumami, yung ganon, gaano karami? Ano ang denominator nun? Yung
Mhm.
ganon. O kaya yung naririnig mo lang kasi hindi mo talaga alam kung ganon karami. You know, so kumbaga talaga naman halos hindi na matulog yung vaccine expert panel, sila Professor Gloriani trying to find out and getting all the most recent uh, evidence or results of researches para nun talagang beyond reasonable doubt or
But
kung hanggang
is
saan at the moment be
yeah,
able to
but
say that okay, it's a go.
But is there a study, an ongoing study? Because the statement or what Dr. Solantes pointed out is observed fact on the hospital floor.
Right.
Now, on a national level, one would expect that because of this observed fact, we would then tell the governments or the agencies, hey guys, you better start doing studies to determine whether in fact what's happening at San Lazaro is happening nationwide. Is there a ongoing monitor that is collated whether or not the decrease in efficacy is now putting the population at risk?
Actually, kaya nga inaaral nila ngayon halos or keeping vigilant watch over the data that's coming in is because yung pangangalampag nga ng mga ospital na, "Oy, bakit dumadami yung ganito-ganito?" So, in the case of
Mhm.
Dr. Solante sa San Lazaro and even PGH, nauunang nangangalampag yan na, "O, ba't dumadami yung ganito, ganon?" Okay, so
Mhm.
meron naman. If ang tanong mo sa akin is within the Philippines may inaaral ba na ganon, um, hindi ko po alam ang sagot kung meron because I would suspect na medyo magkukulang tayo ng, at yung measurement ng antibodies. Dr. Solante, as far as you know, meron ba tayong kapasidad na mag-aral at mag-follow through nitong, measurement ng antibodies na 'to para masabi natin beyond reasonable doubt na
Yeah,
kung sa studies sa Pilipinas, bumababa na?
That's a good point, Doc Conky. Dr. Solante, pwede ba 'yon? Kasi may mga nababalitaan ako, "Uy, nagpa-check ako ng ano, aking antibody level at it is at 65 and then uy, nag-90 na ako." Parang ano 'yan, saan nakuha yung blood
Wala
test
na ang
na 'yan?
level, eh, oo.
Doc Solante, ano ba sagot diyan?
Yeah, actually may mga not all antibody tests no for COVID are intended for antibody that will measure that can measure antibodies produced by vaccines no.
Mhm.
Meron kaming tinitingnan ngayon sa expert panel, may dalawang um, companies who are having this type of antibodies na pwedeng ma-detect no yung antibody produced by vaccine. And we'll be meeting these two companies just to give us an idea of how this method are done and are there also studies done on this technology that also makes it a direct or a potential correlate of level. No? And this is also the neutralizing antibodies done in some other countries when they, like for example in Israel, when they track all those individual from January to July, measuring all these antibodies. This is also the same antibody
Hmm,
technology. So we're looking at that, and hopefully we can meet these companies so we can have a better idea of if we can
okay.
recommend this or something like that.
Pasensya na po, naubusan na tayo ng oras. So quick question, quick answer na lang. Okay, there are people who are claiming that I can go to this particular hotel or this particular company and I can get the third dose, probably Moderna. Now, is this risky business as far as each of you are concerned? Is it something where let's wait for the government to make an announcement, or should we go to our personal physician? What should people do, Dr. Conky and Dr. Solante?
Paunahin ko si Dr. Solante.
Okay, okay. Play safe ka.
Safe ako. Mauna siya. Siya
Alam mo
expert.
si Ma'am Conky, boss ko yan. No? 10 years ago.
Okay, okay.
So,
Sige, Doc Ronjin.
ang senior mo na. Actually, ang masabi ko lang, I always been asked that question. No? We are still under an EUA. And when you are an EUA, you're not allowed to use anything unless it is supervised and recommended by the government. Ganito lang yan, Sito, no? Halimbawa,
Mhm.
magka-drug reaction yan or magka-anaphylactic reaction yan, tatakbo yan sa hospital. Tapos sasabihin, binakunahan ako ng third dose. Hindi mo makukuha yung benefit mo sa indemnification. Halimbawa, mayroon kang mga serious adverse reaction because that is, I would say, no, it's not
Mhm.
recommended yet because wala pa tayong recommendation coming from NITAG, coming from DOH.
Yun, okay. Kasi, Doc Conky, meron ka bang alam na may authorization na?
Wala pa po, kausap natin si Director, Eric Domingo
Mhm.
na hindi pa talagang nagsabing, "O sige, isama na natin yung third dose para dito," o gano'n.
Ayun.
Okey.
Okay, well, doctors, thank you very much once again for a very entertaining, but even more important, very educational morning. And please continue your good work, because both of you and your colleagues and associates are doing a great service to the country, and it is very much appreciated. Thank you very much. God bless to both of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, yan po si Dr. Conky, Consorcia Lim-Quizon, and Dr. Rontgene Solante. And I leave you, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord and whose confidence is in the Lord. For he will be as a tree planted by the waters, who spreads out its root by the river and will not fear when heat comes. And I am now reminded to parang natauhan po ako habang binabasa ko yan, because when we did the daily starter, our path is may be full of stones, but we can use them as stepping stones. And this closing blessing kind of reminds me, ye be of faith. Okay, thank you very much for watching Agenda, and please keep it here on One News PH.